Hey, so I've got four songs that I want to talk about today. None of them that I'm positive that all of you will like, but I think that at least one song each one of you will like in this bunch of four. But the first song, I'm pretty sure that none of you are going to like it. It's just the one that I find to be the most interesting that I've listened to within the past year. Um, it's called Peach Scone. It's by an artist named Hobo Johnson who blew up onto the scene basically because of this exact song and of the performance that I'm linking to in the description. So I've been thinking about him more recently because he just came out with a new album, and I really like that album personally. A lot of people don't like it, but this performance encapsulates everything that could be liked about Hobo Johnson, or that is interesting about Hobo Johnson. And all these songs, by the way, are Cook approved, so there's no cursing in any of them except for this one in the first like 5 seconds. So just when you open the video, just like skip forward 5 seconds and then you'll be good for the rest of them. But what's so interesting about Hobo Johnson to me is that he blends the styles of mostly spoken word, but also some rap and some small amounts of punk into his music in a way that I don't think I've seen anyone do even close to. And fair warning, when you listen to him for the first time, he is very cringy. The line that sticks out to me the most in Peach Scone is, "I love the thought of being with you," or maybe it's the thought of not being so alone, which he and all of his band members scream out. But what's interesting to me is that the reasons that people discredit him a lot are because of his lyrics, but a lot of the time it's just because of his sound. And it reminds me of when people used to discredit bands like Nirvana, but instead of being too callous and having too much violence and vulgarity in their music, they're being discredited because they're being too sincere and cringy. And I just find that to be so interesting because it's so hard in 2019 to find something that actually shocks people anymore. With any kind of medium, we've been inundated with the most vulgar and inhumane stuff just so that it could get a reaction out of the audience. But what's interesting is that the people who generally like those kinds of media don't like Hobo Johnson because he is so different. The next song that I want to talk about is more of a genre or a style than a specific song. I've linked to a specific song called Droplets in the description, but it's a kind of music called microtonal music. So, with music, if you look at the piano, the notes that the West generally uses is all the white and the black keys. But if you are singing, you can notice that, like, in between a C and a D note, or like a C and a C flat note, there are other notes in between that. And microtonal music uses the notes that Western music doesn't generally use, that can't be played on a normal piano, or that chords aren't generally tuned to on a normal piano. There are a lot of cultures that use notes that aren't in the Western mainstream, but with microtonal music, it's usually trying to find something that sounds generally Western that uses notes that aren't in the Western canon. So the song that I linked to below is more of like an electronic song. It doesn't have any lyrics to it, but it still sounds Western. It sounds like something that you could listen to and maybe not notice that something was off. And that's actually really hard to do. The artist that made the song that I linked to in the description does this regularly. And so they're more experienced in finding the kinds of sounds that are appealing to a Western audience. So the next song is called I Am I. It's by Bon Iver, and it's the song that I think is most likely to have all of you enjoy it. Just because I know that lyrics are important to you guys, and this one that is the only one that has like complicated lyrics that aren't about a relationship. But what's interesting to me about Bon Iver is that his lyrics are so cryptic that if you don't know the backstory of the song, you really can't understand what's going on, or you can like try to fill in the gaps, but it's harder to do that than with normal music. Plus, all of Bon Iver's songs are just so beautiful. He uses samples to get the sounds that he wants to use in his music. So, like, I think that the rubbing that you hear throughout the song is like some guy just like with some sandpaper rubbing it against the floor, and he's still able to combine all those sounds into a beautiful song. And the last song I want to talk about is just the one that I have fallen in love with recently. I've been listening to it a lot. It's called So Hot You're Hurting My Feelings. It's just a basic love tune, but it's just really catchy, and I love the way that Caroline Polachek is doing pop music right now. She has an interesting way of approaching art pop that a lot of other people aren't doing right now. Honestly, it's just super catchy and I can't get it out of my head, so I thought that it would be fun to share it with you guys. And now it's my turn to ask a question, so I'm going to talk about something that I've been thinking about for a while now. So shortly after I uploaded my last video, ContraPoints, the YouTuber that I've been talking about for a while now, she uploaded a video and I watched it. It's called Men. And I want to talk about the most interesting part of that video to me, which is at the end of the video where she's talking about how men at the moment don't really have a specific archetype or role that they can fill that's not seen as either problematic or just kind of lame. It should be said that not even everyone on the left agrees with her on this. She's had some backlash from basically every video she's published since 2016. It's just an interesting idea that I've been tackling since the video came out, and I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on that. Do you guys even agree that this is a problem? And if so, what do you think the solution might be? I definitely agree that there isn't really a good model of what it's like to live a good life as a man at the moment. You know, any kind of archetype that a man fills can be made fun of in some way. Yeah, and I just don't know what the solution to that might be.